All right, you maggots, listen up. Uh, what you're looking at there is the Polar Express at the yard sale Saturday. This guy had a big box of movies, real dusty box, and most of the movies are really good ones, but they're the movies that are always on television. But I tried 3 times with this Polar Express. The first time I bought it at Goodwill, they had a disc in it that was extra features. The original movie disc wasn't in the folder. The next time I bought it, it didn't play it at all. It's possible it was a different region. I don't know. I couldn't get the disc to read. So this time I bought it, it played. Uh, the Polar Express is not as good as a Pixar Toy Story movie. It was okay. You know, you got to bring out your inner child in order to watch something like this. But in parts, it was okay. There was some heavy messaging, social messaging in there. It was okay. You know, I guess kids would like the action, and some of the action was like it was just too long. The girl lost her ticket, and it blew outside the train, and it went. If you saw the movie, it's overdone. But anyway, it's a movie. It's supposed to be a farce. It's supposed to be sort of a comedy. It's supposed to be for kids. So anyway, I watched it. But I want to tell you about at break time at TRW. I can talk about TRW now because that company is defunct that I worked at. We go out at break time and we walk around. And the building had 3 big sections, and it was a modern type building. And on one side of the building were all the dumpsters. And sometimes the lids would be up and you'd see what's in there. And I'd walk over there, and there would be rolls of shrink tubing, tubes of any 555s, other ICs in tubes, and never like rolls of solder or anything like that. Mostly power cords, bearings. So I would go there and I'd fill my pockets up. And as we come around the building, I'd lift the trunk up of my car and I'd take my booty and I'd put it in the trunk. So I also noticed when we were walking around the building, these kids would come up with bicycles, and they had baskets all over the bicycles. So uh, I'm watching this, and I'm saying to my friend that's walking with me, I said, "Man, that must be something to be a kid to like electronics." And you drive around the mall, not the mall, it'd be the industrial park, and you have all these different dumpsters that you can dive in and get wire and transformers and monitors. And it was just unlimited. I was doing. I actually got some brand new monitors in boxes, which I kept one and I sold the rest at a flea market. But companies would just throw stuff out and write it off. So the one time uh, we go over and it was tubes of ICs, and the guy walking with me gets real pissed off, and he just goes. Well, anyway, he grabs the tubes and he goes walking to the front of the building and he goes in. And I don't know why he's upset. And I grabbed a few things. I put him in my car. I went in and I talked to the engineering guys and they said, "Look, we write stuff off. Shrink tubing goes bad." I said, "No, it don't." "Yeah, it does. It goes bad. You heat it, it won't shrink." I said, "No, that's not what shrink tubing is. Shrink tubing is a type of vinyl that they heat it up and stretch it and let it cool. So the next time you heat it up, it's got memory, it closes back in." Well, they were throwing shrink tubing out. I was pulling it out of the dumpster. I knew it wasn't bad because I was using it. But this is what they were told. So they would normally throw stuff out. So anyway, back to what that guy grabbed. I'm back at my section. And he's sitting next to me, and he's pissed. I said, "What'd you find?" He says, "I keep ordering these memory chips for this thing he's trying to fix. And when they come in, they cross-reference the number of the chip to another number, and it says we only should keep 25, so they throw the rest out." So think about this. This is the stuff that if you get in deep, your company orders a bunch of expensive memory chips, and it comes in, and a guy at the parts picker, there's this machine that you put in numbers, it goes out, it brings the part back to you out of a giant warehouse. And you get the parts and you key it in. It says We only keep 10 or 100 on hand, and you look and you got 500, and you throw the rest out. And that's what the guy pulled out of the garbage. He pulled out the chips he ordered, and they threw them out. See, he's waiting for these chips, and he was pissed. Now he went in there, and what they did to fix the problem, to solve the problem, was to lock the dumpster so we couldn't look in them anymore. That's how they fixed the problem. They didn't say, "Oh, damn, we've been throwing thousands of dollars out accidentally. We better recheck our programs and recheck stuff when we get it in to make sure we're not throwing out new stuff that just came in." But that's what they were doing. Now, one time I'm on the inside of the building and I'm going by a dumpster, and they're throwing out these boxes. And in the boxes are drums for copy machines. I don't know if you know anything about a copy machine. There's a drum in there. It could be, I guess it's a silicon coating. And what happens is it gets charged. And then when the laser hits it, it uncharges those areas. And what happens, the area that stays charged picks up the toner and fuses it to the paper. That's how quickly a copier works. So anyway, I pull one out because I want to take one home and see if I can get any voltage out of it. Because you're talking it's 1 foot wide and it's a 8-inch diameter. And I'm thinking, if I hit it with sunlight, how much voltage will come off this? How many amps? If I get several of them, well, anyway, I had this thought in my head: can I get voltage from the drum? Because I know the drum is charged, and when it hits with a laser, anyway, I got the box and I'm walking back with it, and this boss comes running out. He goes, "Where'd you get that?" I said, "Out of the dumpster." He goes, "Don't tell me that." I said, "They're in the dumpster. There's like 20 of them in there." He says, "We just got them in." I said, "Look, I don't want to know anything." So he takes it from me. Oh, here's what happened. The guy, they order, like, say, 25 drums for copiers, and they keep them in stock because we have contracts to fix copy machines. So they come in. The kid that they hired don't know where to put them in the parts picker, so he throws them in the garbage. Right? Yeah, it's real. That's what happened. Absolute truth. Somebody called bullshit on my stories. Yeah, yeah, I have some real good ones, dude, especially about people like you. So let's go on to the dumpsters. So on one side of the building, there's like 3 sections where there's dumpsters. And I told you about the kids. You see kids come in with baskets, and in my mind, I'm fantasizing. I'm saying, man, if only I lived here when I was younger, and I could go to an industrial park and get wire. You know, they throw out spools of wire, and I sort of had that in my area. I had a couple companies that threw out short lengths of wire, and I'd bring it home, and I would use that for wire in my project. So I'm sitting, and after the guy found the chips, and they put locks on the dumpsters, I mentioned to one of the bosses. So he says, "You know, the FBI had been here 3 times, right?" And I said, "Yeah, the one time the cleaning crew that cleaned our building stole the vacuum cleaners and the equipment, you know, the mop units and all that. They stole the units from the person they worked for, and then they underbid the person and got their clients. So in the interim, the company that had the cleaning service finally realized that their stuff was disappearing. They did some camera work, found out who was doing it, and they found out who their clients were, and they came to our building, and they found like 10 Kirby vacuums. They had stored the stolen Kirby vacuums in closets in my company. And I looked through the door. I was going to go to the bathroom early in the morning, or maybe to the cafeteria. I looked through the door, and I see these Kirby vacuums that are handcuffed together. And I'm looking at them going, what the hell is that? Now, in the door, when I looked through the window of the door, I could see a shadow of a guy in a uniform. And when I come through the door, I just said, "Good morning," and I walked. It was an FBI guy, and they came out because of something the person did. The FBI had to come out. So I had mentioned the guy. Yeah, I know about that. The people that stole the cleaning equipment, that from the company they were working for, and they set up their own cleaning company and were underbidding the main company. They got the FBI involved for whatever reason, and the FBI caught them. And in our place, that's where they were storing the Kirby vacuums. And I know Kirby vacuums are worth over $500 each back then. So yeah, I was looking to, I'll wheel one of them out to my car. So anyway, I'm sitting with this guy and we're talking. And he's mentioning the guy finding the chips. And I said, yeah, there's these kids that come in with bicycles with baskets. He goes, oh, he says, that's the third time. I said, what? He goes, oh, those kids, um, they they were buffering for their parents. See, what the kids did was they come into the dumpsters, they pull power supplies out and other pieces of computer equipment, bring it home. The parents would put a hot sheet up on one of the trade papers in New York. People would send thousands of dollars to buy different pieces of equipment. Now, this stuff was pulled out of the dumpster. It didn't work. In many cases, the company would buy from this hot sheet, and they would never get the item, or they get the wrong item. See, what they do is the person would um, send them $500, and they would take a power supply, box it all up, and send it to the guy. And the guy would say, "That's not what I ordered," and the messaging would go back and forth. And at some point, somebody realized, I guess it would be the newspaper that was posting the hot sheet or the one-page ad of all this electronic stuff that was below wholesale prices. And the FBI got involved. They came in, they caught the kids, they arrested the kids, and they're telling me the story. And here I'm thinking, yeah, these kids, they're so cool. They come in on their bicycles, they get this electronic stuff, and they must take it home and look at how it works, and like I did when I was a kid. So, and at some point I walked over to those dumpsters and I realized they were throwing the stuff out. I was told it's excess, we're writing it off. Of course, like I told you, the brand new memory chips would come in, a couple $1,000s worth. The guy would look it up on the thing, he would cross-reference the number. The parts picker said only keep 100, and the guy would throw the rest out. And they got mad at us for finding this stuff. See, the company doesn't, the bosses don't want to look stupid. So when they screw up like that, they keep it hush hush. Now, I told you once before, this guy, he was new to the company, and he told me and this other guy, you got to go down and take these computers apart and throw the pieces out in the garbage. I said, are you sure? I said, you sure we're not supposed to put part numbers on them and put them into, no. I said, make sure. So he swore to me he called a second time. He lied. So we're down there and we're taking apart these computers, and they were Olivetti's. They were Lab 1 computers, and they were equal to a 286 computer, or maybe a 386. And at some point, the guy working with me, we worked on those circuit boards. And he said to me, John, he goes, we have some of these circuit boards, the high voltage monitor boards, they would go on fire and they become conductive and you couldn't fix it. And we didn't have extras. So he kept saying, why are we throwing these out? We can take these back to our bench and hide them somewhere. So the cart that we were wheeling around, the computers on, had drawers. I said, okay. So we load the drawers up with some of the more difficult boards to repair. And we wheel them back and we hide them. We do that and we hide them. So now we got a lot of extra circuit boards for the stuff we work on. And then that guy comes out and he says to me, yeah, you remember when you asked me about, I said, we threw out brand new computers, didn't we? Me and Pete threw out $3 million worth of brand new Olivetti equipment. All right, that's what we did. And that guy got let go from our company for giving us the 440. He put people, you only had to work from Monday to Thursday or Tuesday to Friday. And I was the guy, here I come again. I'm the guy that has to cover the full week. They would only let me have off Tuesday. Won't go any further than that. So this guy finally got let go. They let him go, but throwing them $3 million worth of computers out. So anyway, we had the circuit boards. So the one boss comes over to us and he's got one of the circuit boards, and it was either struck by lightning or caught in a fire or something. And he's showing us the board. He goes, "I guess this can't be fixed." I said, "I can fix this." And he's looking at me like, "You're crazy." So I go behind my bench, and all you hear is the heat gun running. He hears the heat gun, and that's to heat the every circuit board had barcode on it, and you heat the barcode off, peel it off, put it over on the board, and then take these. There was also well, it was a barcode, and sometimes it had an old serial number that you might heat up, but there was a barcode with a serial number, and then I test the board and I hand it back to the boss, and he's sitting there looking at the boss. He goes, "What did you just do?" So I said, "Remember the $3 million that so and so threw out?" I go, "Yeah." I said, "We didn't throw it all out." He goes, "You're kidding." I said, "No, don't get up off your chair and be excited." I said, "We only kept some of the circuit boards, and I'm not giving them back. When we get a circuit board, you see what we just got. We got a circuit board that was burnt to a crisp, and we're going to now replace that with one that was supposed to be thrown off." See, they wrote them off. When he threw those out, they got written off. I said, "Now we have a way of fixing every circuit board on that one job when it comes in," because Pete was smart enough to say, "Let's not throw these boards out." But that's when you work for a company, that's the kind of insanity that is constantly happening. And if, like, I was in with the bosses, I used to supply them with movies on VHS tapes. So they would come out to my bench and they would ask me, did I have any movies? And because not everybody had HBO in the beginning. I had HBO and I had a video recorder. So I'd record certain programs and they'd come up to me. So the bosses, I had a different relationship with the boss. I didn't use that to get ahead. And a lot of people, "Oh, they're doing stuff for you because you're supplying them with movies." No, they weren't. I was making sure that I didn't use that to get ahead because I'm a fair play type of guy. But it's so funny. But what they did do is they would tell me some of the shit that's going on in the company that you didn't know about, and you couldn't tell anybody else because they would not. They would tell other people, and it would go around through the building. But the funny was sitting there, and the guy's telling me about the FBI coming 3 times, and I only knew the two. The one guy was selling drugs. He was a nice guy. He just had a problem. He needed to sell drugs in order to have his drugs. I won't go into it any further than that. And then the kids, and then the vacuum cleaners being stolen from the cleaning company. And then finally, this guy's telling me the kids. Yeah, and I was, like I said, I'm walking around the building. I'm going to my friend. I said, "Look at those kids. Man, they must be having a ball with the stuff they're pulling out of the garbage." No, they bring it home. The parents would box it up, and the parents used the kids. And then the FBI started really pushing the case. And what happened was how they got them was the parents signed up a checking account for the kids. They got them that way. Originally the parents go, "We didn't know the kids were even doing this," because minors, you can't really prosecute minors. They're in high school. But the parents got the bright idea. These kids are bringing stuff home. They put a hot sheet on one of the newspapers in New York City, and people started sending money right away. And then they just send them anything back. If it was a power supply, this looks close. This looks like the picture, and they send them that. And they pissed off the wrong people, and the FBI came out, and that's when the lock started going on our dumpsters. And I would get there early in the morning. I'd walk around the building, and I'd find a dumpster that wasn't locked, and I'd fill my pockets, come up to my car, put the trunk up, move the stuff into the trunk. No boss is going to say anything to me. And I did at one point I did make a mistake of telling some other techs, and they went running back there, and they got into a dumpster that had been weighed and processed, and plastic put over it, and it was being sold to a surplus company. And they went back there, and they're like, "I found this." I said, "That dumpster over there was the plastic over the top?" "Yeah, yeah. I told you not to touch that. That's been sold to somebody." "Oh, did they come down on us?" And I wasn't involved that time, but they pulled them up in the office and said, "If you ever do this again, we're going to fire you." And they come out and they're complaining to me, and I said, "I told you not to touch that dumpster." "Well, it's our stuff." "No, it's not our stuff." instead of throwing it in the garbage and writing it off, we sold it to somebody. They looked it over, they bid on it, and they're going to come pick that whole dumpster up of electronic equipment. Now you went in there, you broke the seal, and that's the stuff that constantly went on in the place. It was insane. Now the people that took that stuff, they're never going to use it. When they were out there, when they were coming back, they're coming back with power cords all wrapped around themselves, and then one guy the next day says, "I took that stuff. I don't know what I'm going to use it for." I'm like, that's typical. That's how I know about people. Uh, they're grabbing this stuff for like bragging rights. Look how many power cords I can carry. Look at this. Look at that. And I got all my bearings for all my future projects. Uh, they were FAG bearings. It's an actual company. Uh, I won't tell you the kind of tricks I would do with the fag bearings. But anyway, there was some interesting stuff in the dumpster, brand new. And like I said, the one guy kept saying, "Oh, shrink tubing goes bad." No, it don't. And there was some hookup wires, the big rolls of hookup wire, and some stuff I didn't need because at home I had a company across the street from my house. If I needed hookup wire, I'd go over and knock on the door, and that was my old boss, my first boss. He'd let me take some hookup wire. And then later on, Electronic Barn came along, and I was able to buy rolls of, you know, uh, hookup wire. See this wire I bought, I had a bar, and originally, let's see if it's in the frame. Originally, I told you, save old motors, old solenoids, relays, and you might want to recycle the wire out of them to wind your toroid coils. I think that's it. All right, that's it.